Hey guys, this is going to be a tutorial that's going to show you how to use Garageband in order to create your podcast for class. Right now I have Garageband open, which is going to be the guitar icon here in my toolbox set. But if I don't have that down there, then what I can do is actually click on the desktop to where the Finder is open, click to go, and now if I go to Applications, I'll see the exact same icon in there for Garageband. And once this opens up, it's just asking what you'd like to do. I'm going to create a new project. What kind of new project? I already have podcast highlighted and selected, and I'm going to go ahead and choose that. It's going to ask you what would you like to actually save this as. Save it as your group name if you would, please. And right now what it's doing is it's actually setting up GarageBand, arranging the entire layout to where it is most conducive for creating a podcast. And it's going to do a little bit of extra loading here when it comes to the photos. Initially that's what it's going to do, but that's not required for this project, so I'm just going to go ahead and select audio for now. But there are three main windows here. This first one is the main one that you're going to be working in. This is your editing window. Down here is your fine-tune editing, which in reality I really have never used that much, so I'm going to go ahead and close that by simply selecting the little scissors with the squiggly marks, which I know is not the technical name for it, but I can go ahead and click on that and it'll make that disappear. Same thing if I ever wanted to make this box disappear, I click down here in the lower right hand corner what was originally highlighted, and now that's disappeared. But I actually want to bring it back. Over here in my editing window, it's really important to understand these different pieces to it. Each one of these is a single track, and a podcast already sets you up with a podcast track that allows you to add pictures and links in order to create what's called an enhanced podcast. That's not required for this project, so I'm not going to necessarily worry about this track right now. The tracks that you want to be concerned with are the voice tracks as well as the jingles tracks, because your podcast will be required to actually include your own voices as well as some intro music and outro music and maybe some buffer music in between segments within your podcast. So we're going to be concerned about these three tracks. And actually, just to demonstrate for you, I'm going to be doing the only narration, so I really don't even need the female voice track. To get rid of that track or see any options that I would like to do with that track, highlight the one you want and select track. Now once you've selected this track, I have selected the track option up here. There are a lot of sub options that deal with that track, and in this case I actually want to delete this track. If for any reason you decide down the road that we have different people in our group, we have multiple people that are going to be speaking, and we want to keep a track to when that person talks. So if I wanted to, say there were two members in my group, I would go back to track and select add new track. And it'll actually ask me what kind of track do you want to add. And in this case I'm going to be using my voice, which is a real instrument. And it goes ahead and it adds that track right here. I like to keep my tracks together, so I'm going to select and drag up so I have my two narration tracks, but this doesn't look like a narration track. In fact, the reason why is because there are no effects added to it. This one has male voice effects added to it in order to sort of enhance a male narrated voice. So I'm going to do the same thing here with this track. I'm going to add some effects to it. And notice what happened over here on the right. Once I added this new track, this changed. On the right hand side, this was originally what I had, was my media browser, which is what it says right here, media browser. Now what it's done is it's actually changed it to my information panel or screen, whatever you may call it. And all of this information deals with this track. In fact, these are different effects that I could add. This is a narration track, so I want to go down to vocals, or if I wanted to, I could in fact go to podcasting, and I could select male narrator with some noise that may have noisy background or some background noise going on, and what it'll do is it'll add that effect that'll hopefully reduce some of that background noise. Or if I want to make it sound like male radio, I could do that as well. Whatever effect basically tries to make the track sound as best as possible. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and select male radio for fun. Now I'm going to go back to my original male voice track, and I'm going to add a little bit of narration just to play around with it and show you around. Before I hit the record button, I recommend doing two things. Number one, go up to here to your control panel. Now, we have selected a podcast project, so it has automatically deselected the metronome because we're not trying to record any music. But I have had students in the past that have not selected podcasts and decided to do some type of music and decided, nope, that's not the right one, and they just delete the tracks and add their own tracks. However, the metronome is still selected. In fact, it'll have a little check mark next to it like this, and it'll actually do the sound as you are recording, and if you're not using a microphone that's hooked up, you'll actually hear that ticking noise as you are recording, and you'll actually hear it in the final recording as well. So I recommend deselecting that one. Also below that, this is an option that you may want, you may not want it. It's the count in. In that case, it'll give you a 4 count, bringing you in, giving you a chance to sort of quickly clear your throat, the last adjustment you want right before you begin speaking. In this case, I'm not going to have a count in, that's just personal preference. When I begin to record, it's really important that when I hit this record button, it's going to be recording on the track that I have highlighted. So I want to make sure that I'm on the male voice track before I begin actually recording. And I don't need to record in any special place right now. I don't need to record here or here. I'm just going to go all the way back to the beginning and hit record. This is the Freedom Casters podcast, recording live from the classroom. Now if you notice, let's go back and listen for a second. This is the Freedom Casters podcast, recording live from the classroom. A pretty long pause at the end before I had a chance to stop hitting the record button, but that's okay, because I have two options that I can do. With this, I can go ahead and actually put my cursor towards the end to where my cursor changes from a pointer to something that allows me to drag the end of my clip and just take off that long pause. Or if I wanted to, if I had a clip that was very long and I wanted to break it up, what I could do is put my scrub head at the exact place that I want to actually cut it or splice, and make sure that that clip is in fact selected. And here's what it looks like not selected. Now it's selected. And I have my cursor at the exact place I want. And if I go up to Edit, and I recommend remembering this shortcut, Command T, that's going to go ahead and split it. Now, say you have several tracks or several clips in the same track that you've spliced together. Maybe you've taken out several different little clips. In this case, I can go ahead and delete that track or add it back in, and say I want to put those two tracks together. I select, hold Shift, select my other one, and I can actually go up here and join them. And what it'll do is it'll put the two clips together into one clip. But I'm not going to do that for now. I do need some intro music though. So what I want to do is actually, this is my information button about that track, and so I'm going to go down to my loops. And when I click on loops, this screen will change. And since I have a podcast project already in place, it has already gone ahead and selected my podcast button. This would be my button if I was making music, my piano loops, my guitar loops, my bass kick loops, and things of those sorts. But I'm going to go ahead back to podcast. And here are all the different effects. You could have separate effects, like your booms, your machine effects, and sorts. But I need jingles. And if at any point, instead of filtering or sifting through all these different folders and subfolders, I could in fact come down here to my search and say I'm looking for a click. Hit enter, and right now it's showing no sound effects for clicks. If I go to basketball, oh, it's showing none for basketball as well. But you will be able to search in all your different sound effects and anything else. In this case, I don't really need to search anything. I'm going to go to my jingles. I'm going to go to cinematic. I am then going to go to, it puts them in alphabetical order, but I don't need alphabetical order. I need something that's a fairly short introduction. So if I click on length, it'll actually sort all of these by length instead of by name. And in this case, let's take a listen. Not quite what's there for me. That sounds more about right. So I'm going to take that, drag it over here to my editing pane, and I really don't want to start my voice off and the music at the exact same time, so I'm going to off-center it just to give it a little bit of an introduction. And I'm going to click on not the play button, but this button next to it that takes me all the way back to the beginning every single time. This is the Freedom Casters podcast, recording live from the classroom. Okay, so you get the idea as far as the basics of editing. And again, my jingles here, if I wanted to, say my jingle was too loud, I could go ahead and reduce the volume, make the volume louder, but it applies it to the entire track. So if I have an outro music on the same track down the line, say 20 minutes from now, it's going to put that at the exact same volume as well. If I want to fine-tune the volume even more, click on this little arrow, select track volume, and now what I can do is actually create key points. And say, for example, I want my music to get louder here, then softer, then even quick drop in softness, bring it back up, and we're going to drop it again. Or maybe I want to keep it about the same here, create another key point, and I can drag this anywhere I need to in order to fine-tune that. Now this would sound very funny. This is the Freedom Casters podcast, recording live from the classroom. Doesn't make any sense, but just so you get the idea. And if you wanted to, you can mute this track, which means that it will not play at all, because maybe you just want to hear the narration as you edit the narration, but you want to keep the music where you want it. So you just want to mute it for now, and then maybe edit your narration, and now you can bring it back in. In fact, what you could also do is you could have this, the narration come in at, say, on the right earphone. This is your panning knob, and then also the left earphone. Whatever you want. But we're going to keep it balanced for the most part. And those should be the basics that you need in order to create your podcast. I hope this is fairly simple to understand. Just keep in mind, these three buttons down here are really important. You also have your different tracks and your different options for your tracks. You also have your play sequence buttons down here. And once you're finished with this, go ahead and click on share, export podcast to disk. And for this assignment, we're going to do an MP3 encoder, and we're going to do higher quality, but you may select another quality that may suit you. Export. It'll ask you how you want to label this. We're going to keep it the same name that we had previous for the entire project. We're going to click Save, and I'm going to replace the one that I'd already created before. And this will take no time at all, since it is such a short recording anyway. But the longer the recording, the longer it'll take to go ahead and actually mix it down and create that final recording as well. And in fact, if I minimize this, there it is, Freedom Casters example. I can give it a listen. Casters podcast, recording live from the classroom. Well, there you go, guys. I hope that was pretty easy for you. I hope it was thorough enough for you as well. If you have further questions, don't be afraid to ask.